Welcome in, everybody, to another Fantasy Football Gurus podcast. Today we're going to discuss a few mock trades, talk about the different formats in fantasy football, maybe debate it a little bit. We'll see. Then do the first 12 rounds of a Bestball Dynasty League startup draft.
Yep.
If you're interested in playing any kind of Dynasty Bestball with us, join the Discord. Looking for more players. We want to get all the drafts started before the end of July, just so that we have plenty of time before the season starts in August. Do a 4-hour timer for all our leagues, so that you have time.
Yep.
You know, some people are real quick like me. Not most, but some.
Some people are pretty slow.
Yeah. So the first trade for us to discuss, this was on Twitter recently.
Okay.
Let's say it's just 12 teams, start 11, 1.75 tight end premium, PPR.
Yep.
So like our format.
Sure.
Would you trade Travis Etienne plus Javonte Williams for a 2025 first?
Oh, no. I'd rather have the capital because, Javonte Williams, I believe he's in the top end or so for him. And then Travis Etienne, you have a lot of upside too. Running backs especially, there's a shortage of really good ones. I'm not as big on Etienne as you are, for sure.
Yeah.
But he's young, right? He got hurt his rookie year, right?
He didn't play at all. He got hurt in August. ACL.
Yeah.
Tore an ACL.
But then
Achilles or something.
he was pretty solid his entire second year. I know we had a little bit of a scare towards the end when it was getting closer to playoff football. But overall, though, he was mostly solid, right? Especially after the big trade where he became the number one running back over in Jacksonville. So,
Yeah.
I think for just that alone, I would hold on to the players because then you can always look for that first later, right? That's 2 years down the road. So
yeah, and I think right, even in a year, you can still probably get a first for that trade, down the road. They both have to get hurt or just play horrible, but the odds of that aren't very high, I don't think. But yeah, it's if you're the guy with the 2025 first trying to trade it away too, it's another deal. Why are you doing it right now? I'd rather wait till the end, because what if they do get hurt? Then I just gave up a first trying to win now, and now they're hurt or whatever, when you could have used that first on a different running back or pair of running backs. I'm taking the running backs there. If it is our 10 teams league and only starting 9, then actually even as much as I like Travis Etienne, if I already have running backs that are at least starters on a team, I don't know if I'm doing that deal, because it's just running back depth for what? Again, I have to be. They have to be the winning piece. Otherwise, I want to use that first on a wide receiver. Are you kidding me?
Right.
I want to win.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It doesn't really fit for sure. Like I said, not the biggest ETN guy, but as of right now, he's an early second piece. Sometimes maybe a late, but I take a second now over a first in 2 years.
Oh, so that actually brings me to my next trade. Would you rather have... Well, you just reminded me of it. Might have an extra one here. Would you rather have a 2024 second or a 2026 first? I'll just... my answer is obvious. I want the first no matter what. 2024, that does look like a good draft class, but I see people talk about the hit rate. Just the chance that the player is actually someone you can start. It's so much higher in the first round than the second round, the third round. So I'm definitely taking the first, and I think it'd be easier to trade down the road. The second, okay, you might get Jahan Dotson, Rashad
Right.
White. That's kind of what you're looking at, a lower end starter, if they hit, of
Right.
course.
Yep. And then my thing with that too is you're also looking at the team that you're trading with. If they got like Patrick Mahomes and like just this team of hitters, it's going to be a late second, not one of the first seconds, right?
Yeah.
So that plays a big factor on it too. And for me, if I'm going into the draft and I want the draft picks, I want the first because you're more likely to get the hit rather than in the second round. Now, granted, 2026, hey, you got plenty of time to get that pick back or get a different first. Do you really want to try and scramble later on when that pick is going to be worth way more if your team sucks or whatever? You know how I am with picks and how my mentality with that, but it's smarter to keep that 2026 first.
That's the thing too. I feel like you're such a win now guy. You might be the guy that takes the Sooners the 24 second just so you can use it or do something with it. But
now, if it was a 2023 second, that's done in a heartbeat. I don't like the waiting a year for it. And then seeing, because you could have a crazy good team, and then I get a shit pick, and I just gave away a first rounder. So
okay, so then our another trade for you, our 10-man league, 20.
Yeah.
I got a 23 second. You got a 25 first. We doing that deal?
a 10-man. Oh, I like what we got going. Yes, 100%.
So you would trade the second round pick I got, the 206 for your 25 first.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
Done.
All right.
Easy. Done.
Clip it. Another trade I got for you. I actually think we're definitely going to agree on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the gurus, let's just say they see this guy as someone who hasn't quite hit his full potential, even though he's been in the league 2 years, hasn't played a whole lot. Would you trade, if you had Trey Lance on your roster, would you trade him for a 2025 first round draft pick?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, and I'm in the same boat. But I see those people that are so like, oh, I love Lance. He's gonna move around, dude. We don't even know if he's gonna ever play. Like I'll give him a break. Again, the beginning of this year, the Bears game that he did start and finish, the field was soaked. It was raining.
Yep.
Okay, I'll give him a pass. Second game, he gets hurt. And again, he was hurt his last year of college. This dude hasn't played a full year of football in a long time. It's just way too many red flags. Even if he's a good starter, okay, then trade the 25 first back. You could probably get him back. The odds he's like a top, I don't know, 7 or 8 guy. I don't see that at all. I'm not buying that, and I don't think.
Right. Well, even going back to that Bears game, I texted you. I don't know if you remember, as that game was ending. I was like, if I had to choose who's going to be my quarterback of the future, because they both have the same playing field, right? They're both facing the weather conditions, and you can give the weather conditions a little bit, being a rookie and whatever. But if I had to choose Justin Fields or Trey Lance to be my future quarterback, it was going to be Justin Fields. I've been saying that since Justin Fields was a rookie. I love Justin Fields. I think the Bears are going to waste him. I'm not taking Justin Fields in any situation in fantasy football that I can avoid because of the situation he's in with the Bears. But I think he's really, really good. I think if Justin Fields was a 49ers quarterback, they'd probably be in the Super Bowl last year. But that's not the case, right? That's not what we're talking about. Trey Lance, I don't think he's got it. He's too injury prone. And the little bit that we saw during the Bears game when it was all right towards the beginning just wasn't very good.
Yeah. And I knew we were gonna kind of agree on this one. I at least with Justin Fields last year, we saw flashes. With Trey Lance, we haven't seen nothing. Unless you're a 49er, person and you've seen him in practice, we haven't seen jack. So, right, I don't love Fields being a first rounder in a startup. I don't want to be the guy that has to pick him. But, that's the trade I would do in a heartbeat. Trey Lance for Justin Fields. Oh, I would do that and I wouldn't even think twice. I'd be like, dude, what are you doing? Like, the league is probably going to veto that trade. It's so bad. Like,
100%. Kind of to flip it, though, if it was Justin Fields for the 2025 first, which one would you take?
I'll still hold on to Fields.
Okay,
that's fair. I feel great about it, but yeah.
But and then too, it's kind of, I feel like it's a little bit of the mentality of the picks. Obviously, I'd hang on to Fields, but for you, it's a little different, right? Because we know from how you've treated like the other Dynasty, right? You like the picks because obviously you get more rookies. You gotta wait. You gotta slog it out for a year, right? Yeah. But you get the fresh rookies. You get more hits, right? And stuff like that. So yeah, that's an interesting one for sure.
Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams for a 2025 first. This is an easy. Oh, okay, we're gonna disagree. I want Jameson Williams. He was a top wide receiver a year ago. You're going crazy. He was a top wide receiver a year ago. The dude on the low end is another Jerry Jeudy in this league. And people, because he's suspended. He was hurt. Forget last year. He was hurt. Give him a break.
Okay.
So, in this trade, like, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, in the one league Dynasty League we got going, the guy that has Jameson Williams, I can tell is a big fan because he won't give him up for nothing. But yeah, I mean, it's a deal I'm doing. I think on the low end, this guy's Jerry Jeudy. No, you're taking a pick 2 years from now.
I'm taking a absolute fucking. Well, for starters, I'm not taking him for anything, right? He's going in like the third, fourth. Ish rounds, I believe. Maybe fifth.
What did I get him? Well, because of the suspension, he's down like
6 games,
9, 10.
Okay.
Like, those rounds for a startup. The redraft mock we did, I got him in like the 7th or 8th, I think. 8th.
Yeah, right. I mean, if he's going in like the 10th-ish round, okay. I guess I'd rather take Adam Thielen than him around there. 100,000%.
Wait, in a redraft league?
Even in Dynasty.
Oh my god. Adam Thielen's like 10 years older.
He's also got 2 more years in Carolina with a rookie quarterback, and Adam Thielen, when he gets hurt, he still plays. With James, you have 6 more games. He
reminds me the most of is Jerry Jeudy.
But I mean, he's got Goff, okay, but then he's got Hendon Hooker right behind him, which I mean, like, I'm hopeful, right? But but we haven't really seen too much good stuff out of Hooker yet, right? So we gotta wait a little bit on that too. But he doesn't have a quarterback. And there's a lot of mouths to feed as well in Detroit, right? I mean, yeah, Gibbs and everybody else that's going to want the ball too. No, absolutely not. The Lions are a disaster anyway. They're always going to be a disaster team. They can go try to make a super team. They're all going to get hurt or suspended. Yeah. I'm taking the pick. No, I'll take any other wide receiver, period, over him. No.
All right. Well, I guess we disagree. Yeah. We'll see what you think of J-Mo at the end of this year.
I'll be happy I didn't take him.
Next, I'm done with my trades. What did you want to bring up next?
I just want let's see where you are at like position wise, right? Because we kind of know more or less like picks wise versus players, whatever. If you were offered a straight up trade, right, and you could have either one of these players, okay, JJ or Bijan, which one are you taking?
I'm still going JJ.
Okay.
So, redraft league, I want the top wide receiver over a top running back. In a dynasty, again, it's kind of that. I would rather have a top wide receiver over running back, and
Sure.
JJ is proven, got more years. Atlanta, there's a little bit of risk. Could be a mess. Even though I am a believer.
Sure. Does that change at all if it's Jamar Chase or CD? Are you taking still the wide receiver over Bijan or?
Yeah. Now I agree. That's a hot take. I'm higher on CD Lamb than other people.
Yep.
I was just watching a mock or had it on while I was doing some stuff over the weekend, and CD fell like the middle of the second round. I'm like, what in the world are you guys doing? Like,
Right.
you guys call yourself, podcasters like us,
Right.
taking like, I don't know, just Garrett Wilson and, well, I mean, Garrett Wilson's on that same tier, but some of the older running backs like Derrick Henry, where are you at on him over CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah. So just to kind of forewarn you a little bit here, this is more of a on-air production. Wait till you see my running back and wide receiver list. I have Garrett Wilson very low. People are probably going to be a little pissed off by that. I'm just not too high on him.
So, and like you can make the argument that if Rodgers retires after this season and he goes back to a quarterback, what kind of value? But yeah, people will still get triggered. But if you did like a redraft league and said he wasn't like worth the top 2 rounds, then you'd be kind of tripping.
The main reason I wanted to ask this though too with the running back wide receiver thing, because as of right now Bijan's 1-ish, right? Depending on no matter what, if it's redraft or dynasty for running backs, right? With wide receiver, there's plenty, but to get the top one, you gotta have to reach a little bit too, right? There's just not a ton of running backs, as we're finding out pretty quickly this year, right? It's kind of the reality check as we've been doing these mock drafts and stuff. So it's like, how much do you want to pay for, granted there's some risk, but potentially the number 1 running back this year versus, hey, there's 4 or 5 really, really good top end wide receivers, and so on. So it was a little bit of which one do you prefer? And I agree. I take the wide receivers. It's a running league mostly right now. It's worth it to get that running back, but I'd rather have the wide receiver. So I do agree.
Two things with that, right? Everyone, like, I remember some years it's like everyone's got like the same 3, same 5, like top 5 for a redraft league. This year, it's like really everyone's got a different opinion, and I'm kind of okay with that. I agree, it is close. Like again, I got C-Mac 1, and then my next 4 or 5 are wide receivers. I guess 4 now. Tyreek Hill I'm a little lower on because of suspension or potential of suspension because of the off the field stuff. But I mean, right, Austin Eckler should still have a good year. Bijan, I believe in. Saquon, if he comes back and is signed and everything. Like, you're not screwed if you go running back by any means, but...
right.
Yeah.
The wide receivers do go pretty quickly, for sure.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, kind of switching gears though, unless you had any more either hot takes or mock trades.
No, let's get into it. Best ball versus starting your lineup.
Yep.
So I assume you're bringing this up. You'll say best ball takes no skill.
No. Actually, I was going a little bit of a different with this, right? So I've been kind of thinking of this a little bit different as I've been kind of going through our shows a little bit, how we've been talking, and then how I've approached other things, right? Kind of switch gears a little bit. Overwatch, right? The quick matches do absolutely nothing for me anymore, right? I gotta play the competitive. Even when you and I play, it's fun for like an hour, and it's just like, well, what's the point, right? You're not getting the whole match, right? You're getting half a match. And I feel like with a redraft, it's like, hey, I have this great team. I've built this great team. I went and I've been sweating some weeks, and I've jumped for joy some weeks, and I've been mad some weeks, and then it's just over, and now I gotta redraft again next year, right? Yeah. Drafting's fun. We love drafting, obviously, but then it's kind of like, all right, where's the end, right? With best ball, I feel like it takes a lot of the blood, sweat, and tears that you have to take in a redraft, right? And you're not as invested, so it's easier to be more casual about it, right? I feel like it's a really good spot for new people who just love football and want to get into fantasy football in general. I think it's a perfect starting point. But then it's even for like you and I, right? We work a lot. We also have the podcast to do. We want to do many different kinds of fantasy football things. I think it's a perfect avenue, especially for us. It is perfect to get, our data points and statistics and see where things are at and where things are going and why. I think it's perfect, especially for us. I think redrafts are almost pointless at this point. Absolutely pointless. Obviously, Dynasty is going to be number one for me, 10 out of 10 every single time, right? Love trading the picks, love the blood, sweat, and tears, but I get to keep that team and keep that team going forever. Best ball is slightly below, just because I can be a little bit more casual about it. I can not just focus on that for days at a time. It's fantastic. And then, yeah, I'm kind of over the redraft, at least as of right now.
But doesn't it bug you at all if some people in the league are just happy, not really trying to win, I'll just try and win next year, when I cash in all these first round picks. Where redraft, right, everyone's going, everyone's gunning for first. You don't have to worry about age. You don't have to worry about any kind of long-term commitments.
Sure. There's a place for a redraft, for sure, right? That's where you can just kind of play straight up. Just who do you think is going to be good this year, right? I like the long-term style of thinking, right? I like the picks angle. Now, to bring up our other league, going forward, there's a good chance a lot of us are effed because you have 8,000 first-round picks. But I think I've built a really solid team with a lot of rookies that is going to be very competitive, even if you have 8,000 rookies, because my team, for the most part, besides a couple older guys, is very, very young, right? And then obviously it's just injuries and everything and so on. So that's part of the strategy, right? That's what you're buying into. Now, it's kind of just like, it's nice to have like kind of the same guys too that you're just dealing with and whatever, especially if you get a good active group and so on. And with a redraft, you kind of just move on from those people unless you kind of restart again or whatever. But you can have best ball for that too if you really want something like that, right? You can gun for first and just build the perfect team in the draft and just worry about waivers and trades all year and call it good.
Yeah. So now, what about if you, get in a league with, someone like us, in a
Yep.
Dynasty league, gurus, and they're sniping all the good third rounders. Like, for example, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's a clearly broken out top wide receiver, but in
Yep.
one of these leagues, he would have been like a third rounder, maybe a late second.
Mm-hmm.
In a redraft league, you get a chance to get that guy. Where in Dynasty, you just weren't lucky enough in the rookie drafts, and now, you just get to get destroyed by him for 10 years.
Hey, learn how to trade better. Yeah, you gotta anticipate it, right? Especially if it's a rookie draft, right? If we're thinking back when Amon-Ra was a rookie, hey, you should have eyed that talent up if that's who you wanted. You should have did a little bit more research and gone up to get him, right? If that's the player that you truly want, figure out a way to get him, right? It's all about the strategy. If you want somebody, go get it, right? It's as simple as that, right? Make your trades, make it well known.
So and again with a Dynasty, like, some teams aren't trying. So, like, what if week 11 before the trade deadline they trade the first, load up,
Yep.
or redraft? You don't really have. You can still trade, but
Sure.
typically to get something good, you got to give up something good.
Yep.
You don't have a first, so I feel like redraft. Well, for both formats, there's luck because of injuries and we don't know these teams' game plans. Dynasty is just. I don't know. It feels like a game of like assets. Trying to buy low, sell high. Where redraft,
my favorite.
You're taking who you believe, and whatever happens.
Well, okay, and then think of it this way too, right? If we did a redraft last year, and with that double quarterback dynasty that we did up, I would have been completely screwed. There's no way I would have made it potentially in the playoffs, but definitely not to the finals because I wouldn't have any trade fodder to go and get an extra quarterback, right? Or even to be able to trade assets like I did with Brees Hall and even you with Pitts, right? I would have been stuck with Kyle Pitts all year until he got hurt anyway, and whatever, right? So there comes you draft wrong and your team gets hurt early, you are screwed the entire year, and that was your year in the redraft. Dynasty wise, hey, it's gonna suck for a year. If you want, trade those assets to try and scramble a decent team together, or just wait it out and hit them out next year. That's the nice thing is there's always next year. If you love your team, you built your team how you want it to be. Hey, you got next year. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think they're both legit. I would still advise doing both. Like redraft.
Oh, yeah.
Redraft is like less hype, but I don't know. Again, like you brought up my team. You get a bunch of impatient people, and right then I leave the startup with a bunch of firsts, and it's just a matter of time before I have a god team just from being patient. The dream team.
While you're being patient, I'm winning championships.
Or you're competing for them with all the other impatients in the league. But I guess maybe we could switch gears and just end this with debating Bestball versus setting your lineup. I don't know the term. So here's the deal. I like Bestball not having to set your lineup because it is a little annoying. It is a little cheap when you're getting the AFK guys on the weeks that have a bunch of guys on bye, have guys injured, and then your buddy or someone like me. Usually I get the guy. I get those people on the weeks where they go off, score an insane amount of points. Where best ball it's more consistent. They wouldn't have weeks like that. The other good thing with best ball is like it's just like throughout the week. Then all right, what trades can I make? Probably since we're doing such deep leagues where the top 400 people are picked up, probably not going to be a lot of waiver wire transactions. I imagine, but again, then we're just worrying about trades. Whenever you have time throughout the week, go on, try and make a few trades, pick players you like. Where if you got to start a lineup, then you're asking yourself, okay, well, for my flex, should I go Rashad White? Should I go Darren Waller? Should I go Rashad Bateman? Like, that, I don't know. That's just dumb to me.
Yeah.
I look at things like, okay, who's playing in a dome? Who's playing the bad defense? Who's been hot lately? And you can analyze all those things, but I don't know. It's just kind of luck,
Yep. Yeah, I feel like definitely best ball is a little bit more of the luck angle. Now again, you gotta draft properly. You gotta, like with ours, right? This first one initially is a Dynasty one, so that means you not only have to draft properly, you gotta trade properly too, because you got the picks angle. So that's the big thing. So you gotta use that skill properly, and then you gotta get lucky, right? You gotta make sure your quarterback isn't gonna get hurt week 1 or whatever, right? So you gotta make some contingency plans for sure. So I feel like there's a little bit more strategy around the luck, and then you gotta hope that luck just kind of takes the wheels from there. I feel like as it gets more into the season, though, there's not going to be really any trades. It's just, hey, this is my team, and this is going to roll through type of thing. So that part might annoy me personally a little bit when I'm dealing with my injuries late in the season, like I always do. But I got to make the contingency plans. That's something I got to build personally with my strategy as I'm drafting, right? You got to pay a lot of attention up to and during the draft and a little bit after. And then after that, I mean, that's your team for the most part, right?
So let me ask you this for best ball. Let's say one league right away in the season, week 1. Maybe a couple leagues you go against a person holding on their roster like some no-name from a no-name college, 5th, 6th round receiver, and he just goes off for whatever reason. He's secretly the slot wide receiver, catches a bunch of touchdowns. You lose that week by a little bit because this no-name was like the MVP. How are you going to feel about best ball then? Where obviously in a stardom league, this guy would never see this starting lineup.
Right.
But a best ball, again, because it just picks the perfect lineup. You're going to hate best ball as soon as that happens?
Who am I, Jackson? That's not going to happen to me.
What if you're playing Jackson and the no-name, 5th on the depth chart wide receiver in Denver he picks, in the 25th round, breaks out. What happens then?
I feel like he'll have his his comeback for benching Devontae Adams, his breakout game. But I'll be pissed. But I mean, that's also that's what we're buying into too at the same time, right? Yeah. Because I'm hoping it's going to happen for me against you, and so on. So it'll be irritating because I won't be able to live it down, and that's all he's going to bring up going forward. But
I thought when you brought this up originally, texted me about it earlier in the day, I thought you were going to be upset with best ball because you can run into that kind of luck that the no name has a big game. But instead, you went the Dynasty redraft way, which is fine. Dynasty is better than redraft. I'll give you that.
Yeah. And then also too, I was thinking of it because we've had the bad luck with AFKers, especially after the first couple weeks. where it's like, oh, my team sucks, I'm just not going to do anything anymore.
Yeah.
That helps get rid of that. Now, it sucks because you're not going to be able to trade with that person, but it's still going to be a competitive thing, like you brought up, right? It's not going to be, oh, I got a double bye week apparently.
Yeah. Or the ESPN league, redraft league we were in last year, where the bottom two guys in our division gave up one guy after 5 weeks. So of course, we got to play both. We had to play both of them when they were trying, and then the other division got to play them all twice when they had injured guys in their lineups, guys on their buys.
Right.
So right, Bestball would get rid of that.
100%. Now, obviously there's still a little bit of luck involved, sure, but at the same time, it leaves everybody on a more or less even playing field all year. I feel like adding median to it throws off the fairness just a tad, and I had a reason for it. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Because it's it's picking your lineup essentially. So then it's just that makes it a little bit more luck based, I feel like. But yeah, I don't know.
But
that median is a whole different topic too at the same time.
But doesn't it ever bug you, stardom leagues? Like sometimes, again, I can look at defense. I can look at who's hot, who's got the better quarterback. But sometimes it's just a shot in the dark. It's when you're picking
100%.
for like your flex, or like last year in the ESPN league, I had Kirk and Russ, and it was like every time I started one, the other one did well. It was every week I did that, and obviously Bestball would get rid of that. The last thing to talk about, so for Bestball strategy. I see gurus saying, don't pick up a bunch of backup running backs because it's just going to be 0 every week. And I do agree with that. My thing is, I would try to get early round running backs and then try and get their backups, so that 2 or 3, probably only 2 in a 12-man league, and then the 2 backups. Just so that you have a couple. And then again, if they get hurt, even if it's mid-game, which is good too.
Still have those.
Real football, you know what I mean? If a guy gets hurt, it's not 10 on 11. It's still 11 on 11. You throw in the backup. That's something that bugs me with Dynasty. If you have Travis Etienne and his ankles bomb and, the coach wants to be all conservative and take him out, then, at least in this mode, then I got the backup. Tank Bigsby now. So it's not like, well, I lost that week, 10 minutes into the noon games, So and
how many people are going to be looking for that, too, unless they're, really thinking about it. How many people are like, oh, this has ETN, I got to take Bigsby, so that way if ETN goes down, hey, he's screwed and I'm winning. Not many people are going to think that way.
I think they're running back backups so that they're safe if there's an injury.
You would think.
That was just kind of my twist. I get why in the later rounds, a Tyler Lockett in the later rounds could still give you a few starts. He could still get hot. Have a few big games. That's one example. Cortland Sutton, Alan Lazard. Where running backs in that area, like Chase Brown, unless there's an injury to Mixon, he's not going to do anything crazy. So, that's just kind of my strategy. And I do think Bestball, it almost makes the value of quarterback less because, again, you could just pick up a bunch. I don't know, 4 and 4 starters, 3 starters, and who's ever the best. Someone will score over 20, right?
Yeah, right. And then it's also, too, it's like, with quarterback, I mean, for the most part, right, it's about 20-25, what you expect. Granted, you have your higher ones that can get you the 30, 35, sometimes 40s. like Lamar did quite a few times last year. But after that, I mean, you got to reach for those guys, but you could be happy with the 25-ish, and then you hit really hard with the bigger names. So it's all about obviously where your draft position is, but then also what kind of team you're trying to build too. So.
Yeah, exactly. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, 40 minutes in. I think next week we'll just do the best ball mock. Otherwise, yeah, no, it's a good discussion. Again, if you want to play best ball dynasty leagues with us, join my Discord below. Again, going to try to get more going before the end of July so that we can draft all August. And yeah, bring it on.
Absolutely.